Here we go. Let's talk about it.
Hey, thanks for tuning in with your boy Philly Boy Butterball.
Section 8.
Your boy Ambassador.
R.M.G, man. Listen, it's been a long time coming. Quite sure y'all saw a few, interactions and clips of me and my brother here.
Absolutely.
Talking about things that need to be talked about, talking about different things that need to be changed as far as the mindset of African American people in our community. So today we want to talk about something particular as far as the young guys, that's thinking that's still thinking, because we was these young guys too at one time.
Absolutely.
That being a street guy, a street gangster, and living this cold and all this stuff was the way to go. There was some type of glory in it, but we had to find out the hard way as far as
trial and error.
Yeah, trial and error. Going to being incarcerated and learning the law that way.
Absolutely.
Which is supposed to be the opposite way. You know what I mean? So Butterball talk about his experience with learning it on the back end instead of learning on the front end. So, if you knew more on the front end of the law and how it operate, I guarantee you a lot of you YNs or young guys out here wouldn't want to participate in these
Absolutely.
activities.
But I would say, because we got to do things in percentages.
Absolutely.
And I would say there is a higher percentage of us, and I'm talking about players of the game, not knowing, the second set of rules to the game, because you have moral rules.
Right.
Never get high of your own supply. Never sell drugs where you rest at.
Right.
Never pillow talk with your chick.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And y'all could sort of fill in anything that we missing. Make sure that y'all elaborate and fill in the missing spots.
But besides that particular that is a lot of rules that should be abided by when
absolutely
when you're dealing in the activity. But let's get into the laws as far as learning the front end of the laws, so that you wouldn't even have to get into that kind of activity to have to abide by them particular rules.
But let me say this what y'all experiencing here, what y'all witnessing and watching is this just a conversation right here. You understand what I'm saying? And we wanted to do this is because we have a perspective. You know what I'm saying? Ambassador and I, we both were PICS partners in crime. You understand what I'm saying? And we both had, our individuals activities that we, conducted in the streets, apart from each other. You know what I'm saying? As we, grew. So we want to invite our partners. We call, figures from all across the country, man, to come, sit with us, man. If we, spark something in you that make you want to, respond or elaborate. You know what I'm saying?
Because both of us, as a result of, being in illegal street activity, both of us, me and him, we both wind up in the clutches of the federal government.
Yeah, experiencing,
We had to learn, like I said, that particular law on the back end. Which even on the state level also, a lot of us didn't learn the law on the front end. We thought we knew it, but we didn't. We had to also learn on the back end. So you go from one level to the next level. So, we had to learn on the back end to realize that it never was intended for us. It never was a great decision.
Right.
And these are things that's not being talked about. And particularly, this guy's also author of this particular book here,
How the Game Began.
And I personally read this book. I'm very impressed on the details that's in this book. And I want to discuss it, but we're going to talk about that later on. The details inside this book, how it was broke down, why the activities were put in place, and our particular communities and for what reason they was put there. You know what I mean? So these are the things that's not put in a lot of books. This is not a regular book. It's
life guide.
It's the YNs or youngers, whatever. If you read this, I guarantee you have a different perspective on the streets. So, but we're gonna talk about this later. So I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
As you can see, Shakir Lawrence, you know what I mean, How the Game Began.
Absolutely.
So check that out. It's on Amazon, so you can afford that.
Make sure y'all purchase, support and purchase.
Absolutely.
All right, let me say this, right? You know, one of the things that I wish that I would have knew before I got into the game was that there is a particular set of codes, right? That if you get caught up under, you will be penalized, to the point of severe consequences. So let me say this, man. 841, right? This is a statute, right? And if you know this is what I want to give y'all. I want it to be in the minds like this. Hold on, let me backtrack a little bit. Before you open any kind of game, right? A board game, right? What is the first thing that you reach for?
You want to read the rules.
You want to read the rules
of the game, the instructions.
And why do you want to read the instructions?
So you can know how to play it.
So you can know how to play the game.
But guess what? Most of us don't do that when it comes to the real life game. Most of us don't do that. You know what I'm saying? We'll do it in a certain setting. Like you said, you get a board game. You know what I mean? Whatever you get this game,
Monopoly.
You know what I mean? And you want to learn it. Now you got to read the instructions.
Yeah.
The same rules apply to real life.
Absolutely. And I'm saying, I say this. I like to use this analogy is because Monopoly, right, is presented as a game,
right,
but it's not a game.
Right.
It really teaches you, economics, but to us, the African American demographic, not all of us, but a large percentage of us look at it as a game.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And not understand the economic, aspect of what it teaches you, right? But we look at real life as a game.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And it's not.
Why do you think? I didn't mean to keep
Let's go.
But why do you think that mentally people in our community operate like that?
I mean, it's obvious. It's because we were socially conditioned. You understand what I'm saying? Like, and that's what I'm saying. We'll get into the in-depth part of it, but everything got something to do with, where we live, right? Yeah. Where we go to school, right? Yeah. Where we shop, what we eat, right? What we listen to.
Right.
All of this stuff, what we watch on television. All of this stuff plays a part in conditioning the way that we, view things.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? And
So how can our community change that? Where do we start to change that mindset? Everything starts within the domestic household, right?
Absolutely. We gotta first step up, man, as fathers, right? We gotta sit down. You see what we're doing right now? We gotta sit down and hold real substantive conversations, and we gotta tell the truth.
But I feel like in order to do that, to be a father, right?
Yeah.
To be a real man out here, we also need our women to understand the strategic breaking down of African American households.
Absolutely.
So, you know what I mean? These things are put in place for the woman.
Yeah.
Right? There are things given to the woman, to the especially African American woman.
Yeah.
But in order to get these things, you know what I mean, she's kind of forced to remove the father or the male figure from the household in order to receive these things. So, we gotta do it together, man. We gotta stick together. You know what I'm saying? So,
absolutely. But some of the things he speak about, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's the 19th Amendment, which is women's suffrage, right? When you had, women like Sojourner Truth and Ida B. Wells, who stood for women's rights, women's suffrage, which is, the right to vote, this opened up doors for other things, right? Where some of the things I believe that you're speaking about is like, Section 8 vouchers, right? Where it provided, stability housing for, women and children. You understand what I'm saying? So certain things were, set in place, which were a benefit, but also too, these was used to attack the African American household.
Yeah, and the reason why I bring this up is because I know that a lot of these benefits are very useful.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right, a lot of these benefits are very useful for the families in our communities because of the circumstances that we put up under, right?
Yeah.
But I'm just saying, and I'm not saying don't, if you need it, don't seek out to get it.
Right.
But don't get to the point where as though you're not trying to work with the father that needs to be available, or the man that needs to be available. Even if he's forced not to be in the household, if it's that deep.
Yeah.
You still stay connected, still try to work together is what I'm saying, you know what I mean? Until you figure out a way where as though you don't need these particular assistance that's in place, and the male figure can be able to provide and fill that void for the things that, these communities, these families need in these communities. So, because you see some ugly stuff out here, man, you know what I mean? You see, it's just, you ain't doing nothing, and the father of the male get kicked out, you know what I'm saying? The first thing he thinking is, I gotta think fast to try to make some money, to fill these voids. So instead of him doing it the right way and being patient and taking his time with being able, to find out figure out how he can provide for his family. Most of us, what we do, we go to illegal activity because it's quicker. You know what I'm saying? You're trying to get it right away. You know what I mean? And it's like, you get it now or whatever, and you provide or whatever, and she probably still gonna get, the assistance, but that leads to what? Death or incarceration, man. You know what I mean? You don't have the male figure around at all.
Yeah.
So we gotta break the cycle, man.
Yeah, definitely. So let me speak about this, right? Richard Island, right? Richard Island Project, Richard Island Homes.
This should stop,
yeah.
This should stop.
Right? It was the first project that was built in Philadelphia. It's the first and it's the biggest in Philadelphia, right? That in 1937, the funding was given by the Fair Housing Act in 1937, right? It was fully established and run it in 1941. It was meant to be the model of how other subsidized housing would be established.
Rat one.
Yeah, you feel what I'm saying? So because it was the first one that wasn't subsidized as high rises. So it was built, with low rises, right? The characteristics of it, having hallways and courtyards, and it was considered like a maze, a labyrinth, right? Where the activity was so hard to contain by the police, right? That it was considered its own fort by criminals.
Yeah. That's why I always called it. I always refer to it as a city within a city.
It's called that by the politicians as well.
By design, because you wouldn't understand it now unless you were able to slide through that place, man, and be down there and understand particularly what we're talking about. Well, I'm quite sure a lot of people heard about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Well, they talked about it, but to experience it,
yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like we somewhat kind of, it was almost like governing ourselves in a sense.
Yeah,
Even though we didn't, but there was a lot of stuff that went on inside of there that people didn't know about within our own communities in there. That was, man, crazy stories. But that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, but let me express this, right? See, Richard Island Projects had its own bylaws. You understand what I'm saying? It was like unique from any other, community in the city. And I'm saying this stuff right here has been, mentioned and discussed by various of politicians. And to give some perspective on it, right? Let's understand the name, the person who it was named after, which is Bishop Richard Island, who created the first AME, African Methodist Episcopal Church, right? So the reason why this is important is because it's a pedigree that comes with this name.
Oh yeah.
Right? Which is a work towards freedom. You understand what I'm saying? Brotherhood. Right? Whenever and wherever we always stick together. Right? This is the character. This is actually the pedigree and the characteristics of Richard Island. Right? So, in order to understand the mind state, the ideology, you have to have been a part of the community.
Yeah.
And I think we carry these characteristics wherever we go. You understand what I'm saying? So this what was extraordinary about me, researching, Richard Island, and I'm talking about the architectural structure and how many units it was. It started out with about 2,400 units, right? I'm off with the numbers, right? Which held 5,500 people, right? And when I was
7 sections.
Yeah, and it covers 9th to 12th, popular to Fairmount.
Right.
So when I was in Fort Dix Federal Penitentiary, and I found out that it held 5,000 inmates, right? That resonated with me. It's because Fort Dix, which was a army base.
Army base.
But they converted it into a federal prison compound.
And also, in the beginning, was used as well, to house foreigners, illegal immigrants. Then they started mixing in regular citizens that was incarcerated in that place too. I mean, you was over there, I was there too. So, there was a lot of illegal immigrants there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that was really for them.
And that's and Richard Island was, in a tug of war with, the defense individuals for the war that was going on with, poor people of Philadelphia. You see what I'm saying? So what the conclusion that we're drawing from this is that, you know, poverty, prison is profit.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? It goes hand to hand. And this goes back to what you asked me, you know, in the beginning, right?
This is why I was talking about this, and people need to read it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because you summarizing a lot. He's basically summarizing something that's way bigger than you can wrap your brain around.
Absolutely.
You know, reading this book and also learning the laws of the land.
Absolutely.
Will really broaden your mind even more on a particular subject that he's summarizing about. So.
Yeah, let me get into it. Let's just go ahead and open up. The reason why my purpose for writing the book was because when I began to learn some things, right, that I should have known before I got in the game, right?
Structures of the game.
I was kind of like disappointed in my old heads.
Yeah.
I was kind of disappointed, you know, in some of the individuals that, you know, I was in the game with that should give us the choice, right? The choice.
The rules.
Yeah, based off of giving us, you know, the rules, both moral and by the law, right?
Right, but they only gave us the morals.
They only gave us the moral aspect of it. Because had I known about zoning, right? Had I known about a 924C, right? Which is enhancement that takes a 922G. I'm going in the federal code now, right? A 922G, which is a felon with a firearm, right? Automatically gets a mandatory 5-year sentence. If the gun is, if you have constructive possession, because you got to be careful with the language, the colloquy of law, right? Constructive possession means that you have control over something, right? Meaning that even though it's not on me, it's hitting. I got the influence and the power to tell somebody to go get it and either use it or to, you know, bring it to me or to use it, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
An instrument of a crime, right? So it triggers.
You see how deep that is?
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about. And you see how you just broke it down. You see how deep that is. Now, how you gonna prove that, right? Now you gonna be like, you get locked up now, and you gotta fight them by them trying to prove that he had this constructive possession of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this firearm, you like
different from it. Listen,
I had nothing, like I didn't know he was gonna go X, Y, and Z. You know, now you gotta explain that. Like this how I'm saying.
Yeah.
This what makes for me personally.
Yeah.
I'm like, this how easy it is for them to lock you up and put you
Not
away.
even just lock you up. This how easy it is for them to give you 30 years and call it a favorable plea. Let me go on. So
you want to play that game?
Listen, you a 922G, a felon, you know, in possession of a firearm, right? And there's drugs around,
here we go.
on, right? The drugs don't even gotta be on you. They could just, you know, say that, you know, the drugs that was over there in the house, you had the gun, you know, protect the drugs or the organization, right? It takes that sentence and enhance it to where as though it easily will take you up to 30 years. So now you in there by us being ignorant to the law, and what they say, ignorant to the law is no excuse, but it's an excuse that man will plead once he's in trouble.
And that's
right?
just one rule we talk. That's one rule.
Yeah, that's just one,
Rule,
right?
You know,
It's
combined with nothing.
Yeah.
We ain't even talking about conspiracy.
So because listen, they just did conspiracy is not even a charge.
Conspiracy.
You getting 10 years. That's a mandatory 10 years, right? First and foremost, if you got co-defendants of rap, 10 years for you. Let's put that on the shelf. You getting that? No rap. Now let's talk about
the 848 is 10 years. That's if you got murders involved. But 846 is mandatory minimum is 5.
Yeah. So
I was on
let's
846, which is mandatory minimum is 5. But conspiracy is a whole nother. You know what I mean? So I'm finished.
So now let's talk about your charges, possession and distribution, of narcotics.
It's a lot.
It's a lot, man. So when
we give you a smidgen.
Yeah.
A smidgen of it, you know what I'm saying? But it's so much more to it.
Yeah,
so much more we can't even cover it in, you know what I'm saying, one segment. But
I want to say this. I always want to present something to you to make you remember something. When I'm talking to you, I want to give you something that when you hear it, you will immediately reflect and have an understanding on how to interpret it or remember it. The Statue of Liberty, right? You're familiar with the Statue of Liberty, right?
Yeah.
Real big, right? Real strong, right? How hard do you think it is to be able to destroy the Statue of Liberty? You think it's hard?
I don't know.
I think it'll take a lot to destroy the Statue of Liberty. The same thing when you build federal statues. It's hard to fight.
Yeah.
It's hard to beat. They hard to defeat.
That's deep.
Statue. Just think about when you think about federal statues. Think about the Statue of Liberty and how big it is, how hard it is to move or to destroy.
Think about that. Wrap your brain around that.
You understand what I'm saying? It's almost impossible, man, to beat federal statues, man. Because what they telling you is they telling you we have. Okay, let me go here. It's important. The Fifth Amendment, right? And I don't think we said this to him. I've been trying to get this out. The Constitution. Now you got some people that argue, the Constitution will go by that when it's a new one. Listen, we're gonna go with layman terms as a result of, just giving our people, some game. The Constitution is the rules that we're talking about. The laws of the land, right? Everybody else, understand, they come over, the Asians, the Jews, the, Africans, when they come over, the first thing they get is a pocket-sized Constitution. This is when I asked you about when you open the game, what's the first thing you reach for? It's the rules to the game.
How many of us got it?
And this is what we're saying.
I never had a book.
No one never sat down with me, right, when I was in the streets and said, you need to know your Fifth Amendment, right?
You knew what I came across, learning the laws of the land?
What's that?
Religion.
Yeah. You see?
Right?
Yeah.
So you had to really embrace that.
Which is the First Amendment. Right. The First Amendment has the provision in it when it stands for religion. You know what I'm saying? The freedom of speech. You know what I'm saying? So the Fifth Amendment.
So you have right to remain silent and all that.
Yeah, that's the Miranda rights.
Miranda rights, but that's also part of your Fifth, right?
Yeah, that's your Miranda rights, which is Ernesto Miranda versus Arizona. That's the Supreme Court case that gave rights to the accused to be informed, of the charges and the right to remain silent. You understand what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. I didn't know this. Of course we hear in the movies, it's one of the most basic fundamental principles of, you know, dealing with,
but
you know,
fundamentals, I know what you're saying, but fundamentals and hearing about things and all that, and then really like reading what they really mean. Like basically what he's saying, when he say I didn't know none of these things, and he's mentioned like the Miranda rights and the Fifth Amendment and all that. Like we know about it, but most people don't know it in depth. Like
no person shall be held to answer for a capital or other infamous crime unless on the presentment or an indictment of a grand jury, right? So the presentment is, it comes before the indictment, right? Where the prosecutor go to the grand jury, right? Which is different than a jury in the state. The grand jury is dealing with, you know, the feds. The prosecutor, nobody governs his charges that he brings on accused, right? This is where the term the prosecutor can indict a ham sandwich, because nobody sits in with the prosecutor to argue whether these things took place. So they could come with any kind of charges to indict you with federally, and then they come with the indictment. You understand what I'm saying?
And so basically you fighting on the back end.
Yeah, you
fighting on the back end. You don't even have no say on some of these charges they take it to the grand jury. You knew nothing about it or whatever. By the time you find out about it,
yeah, you don't see the grand jury,
handcuffed.
None of that, right? But they come with these charges, and 9 times out of 10, right? When they go to these grand jurors, whoever that might be, and they say, Mr. Lawrence frequent Richard Island projects. You see, 9 times out of 10, the people that live in the area right, and they hear Richard Island projects, they automatically gonna assume that I'm guilty, you know, or that I'm responsible for what the prosecutor is bringing automatically. So they gonna say, yeah, go ahead, bring the charges.
Yeah, it's just that particular area just come with negativity.
That's it. That's the game.
Which is bad.
That's the game. Yeah. So you playing against a stacked deck.
Yeah.
So this is the purpose for me, you know, when I'm you know, becoming informed with these things, and I'm saying, damn, it's a game being played against us. So let me inform, let me find out a way to inform us, man, about what we up against. So once again, I had to do it through entertainment. Yeah, it's a hood novel, but it's also a life guide.
It's a life guide. Facebook, Shaquille Lawrence. Instagram with Section Eigh8 Podcast.
Instagram at Section Eigh8 Podcast. Right. Facebook at Shaquille Lawrence. YouTube at Section Eigh8 Podcast.
Section Eigh8 Podcast. The links is there. You can order this book and really start to, you know, read about more of what we're talking about and get a better understanding of what it is we're trying to, you know, relate to you as far in the message form. So yeah, get this book. And yeah, even after the book, you still might want to go further and read more about the law or whatever. So yeah, get this book at the sites that, you know, at the website that he said, you know, social media and so forth. As well, you also can get, this is my brand, store clothing.
Yeah, absolutely.
You can go to my particular Facebook, Bass Williams, on Facebook, on Instagram, Bass _R.M.G. And you can order a shirt, not gonna, you know, Trips to Your Door.
Absolutely.
Also my albums that's out, that's basically breakdown. You know, it's an entertainment form, like we talked about, years in entertainment form, but it also break down the things that we went through, you know, in Richard Allen projects and how we had to survive it. It's not for glorification. Although it sounds fun because we thought we was having fun at the time, you know what I mean? But it's also to be also another life guide for you not to make the mistakes that I made, the mistakes that you made.
Fall in these traps.
Fall in these traps. You don't want to fall into the trap. So you can listen to a lot of stuff as entertainment, but at the same time, you can learn from it. So